Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving deep into one of the most powerful forces in our lives, motivation. We're going to break down the science of what really gets us going, using some of the most important psychological theories out there.
I mean, it's a question we all ask ourselves, right? What is that internal engine that pushes us to go for that new job, to run that extra mile, or to burn the midnight oil to get a project done? If we can figure that out, we can unlock so much potential, not just in ourselves, but in everyone we work with.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with what motivation actually is. Then we'll dig into the two major ways to think about it, the how and the what. After that, we'll get super practical with strategies for managers, and we'll wrap it all up by building your own motivation toolkit.
All right, first things first. Before we can even think about using motivation or trying to build it in a team, we've got to be on the same page about what it actually is.
So at its very core, motivation is simply the why behind what we do. It's that internal spark, right? It's what gets us started, keeps us going when things get tough, and points all our efforts in the right direction. It's really the difference between just going through the motions and actually achieving something great.
Okay, so this is where things get really interesting. You can basically look at the study of motivation from two different angles. Think of it like this. Process theories are the mechanics. They explain the step-by-step psychological process. And content theories, they're the fuel. They look at the core human needs that are actually powering the whole engine.
Let's start with those mechanics. Process theories help us unpack the thought process that actually leads to us feeling motivated to do something.
Now, there are a few key theories here that you can see. They all explore that how question, but for our purposes, we're going to zero in on two of the most powerful and practical ones, Vroom's expectancy theory and equity theory. Vroom's theory is just so elegant and, honestly, so useful. It basically says our motivation is a simple calculation. First, how badly do I want the reward? That's the perceived value. And second, what are the odds that my effort will actually get me that reward? That's the perceived probability. Now, here's the kicker. If either of those numbers is zero, guess what? So is your motivation. The goal has to feel both valuable and achievable.
Okay, next up is equity theory. This one taps into a feeling we have all had, that deep-seated need for things to be fair. It argues that our motivation isn't just about what we get for our work, it's about what we get compared to what we see other people getting.
And this is exactly what happens when that fairness alarm goes off. If you feel like your coworker is getting more praise for the same amount of work, you're going to be motivated to fix that imbalance. Maybe you slack off a bit. Maybe you march into your boss's office and ask for a raise. Or maybe you just start polishing up that resume. For managers, the big takeaway here is that the perception of fairness is the reality.
So if the process theories explain the how, the content theories get at the what. They ask, what are the basic human drives we're all trying to satisfy? What's the fuel in our tank?
And you just can't talk about needs without talking about Abraham Maslow. His famous hierarchy suggests our needs are stacked like levels in a video game. You start at the bottom with the absolute basics, right? Food, water, shelter. Once that level's clear, you move up to feeling safe and secure. Then comes the need for friends and belonging. After that, we need to feel respected. And then, only then, can we reach the final boss, self-actualization, which is all about becoming the absolute best version of ourselves.
But here's the thing. Life isn't always a straight climb up a ladder. Another theory, called ERG theory, adds a really important twist. It says that if we get frustrated trying to achieve a higher level need, like say we get passed over for a promotion, we might actually slide back down and focus even more on a lower level need, like demanding more money just to feel better.
McClelland gives us another fantastic way to look at this. He argued that we all develop three key drivers over our lifetime. There's the need for achievement. That's for people who love hitting challenging goals. Then there's the need for power, the desire to have an impact and influence others. And finally, the need for affiliation, which is all about building strong, friendly relationships. Most of us have one that's more dominant, and if you can figure out which one it is, you found the key to motivating that person.
Okay, theory time is over. Now for the really good stuff. How can leaders and managers take all this information and actually use it to build a fired-up, high-performing team?
Well, it all starts with your own mindset. Douglas McGregor described two totally opposite ways of thinking. A Theory X manager basically assumes people are lazy and you have to watch them like a hawk. But a Theory Y manager? They believe people are naturally driven and want to do good work. Your fundamental assumption here is going to shape every single thing you do as a leader. And, no surprise, Theory Y tends to get way better results.
Now this is one of my favorite models because it's such a game changer. Herzberg discovered that the things that make you dissatisfied at work are completely different from the things that make you satisfied and motivated. So, fixing the hygiene factors, like a terrible boss or a low salary, doesn't make people love their job, it just makes them stop hating it. Real lasting motivation comes from the motivating factors, things like a sense of achievement, recognition, and personal growth. So remember this, getting rid of the bad stuff is not the same as adding the good stuff.
Another really practical tool is behavior modification. It works on a very simple principle. What gets rewarded gets repeated. Positive reinforcement is adding something good, like giving a bonus for amazing work. Negative reinforcement is taking away something bad, like a manager stops micromanaging once an employee proves they're reliable. And punishment, well, that's adding a negative consequence to stop a behavior you don't want.
But, and this is a huge but, if you ever have to use punishment or give some corrective feedback, this advice is absolutely golden. Always, always do it in private. Calling someone out in public just destroys morale and trust. You have to maintain respect even when you're correcting a mistake.
All right, let's pull all these threads together. We've covered a ton of ground. So let's boil it all down into an actionable toolkit that you can start using right away.
So here it is, your toolkit. Number 1, understand that everyone is different. A one-size-fits-all approach just doesn't work. Number 2, make sure things are fair, because perception is everything. Number 3, design jobs that are actually interesting. Give people autonomy and a chance to grow. 4, reward the behaviors you want to see more of. And finally, number 5, the bedrock for all of it. Just communicate. It's the most basic and powerful tool you have.
So as we wrap this up, just remember, motivating people or yourself isn't some kind of magic. It's a method. It's a skill you can learn. And now you have the playbook. So the only real question left is, which method are you going to try first?